Welcome to the 2023 awards, aka the top 10 movies of the year pretty much. So yeah, what a year. There've been a lot of great movies, a lot of amazing films, and some pretty, alright movies. But I won't be doing a top 10 worst list because out of respect. So I'm just gonna go straight to the best movies of the year, the movies that I find to be the best, to be in that top 10, and yeah, let's get right into it. And also, it's the end of the year, so to celebrate, I ain't editing. So we're doing it live, like what they do in the award seasons. I'm doing this shit live. So let's do it. So, anyways, the ones that were there, pretty much. So we got Guardians 3, Air, Are You There, God, It's Me, Margaret, Sisu, The First Slam Dunk, Talk to Me, Sound of Freedom, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Past Lives, Gran Turismo, The Creator, Anatomy of a Fall, Maestro, and Monster. So all these movies could have easily gone to the top 10 list, but they didn't hit the list when it came to the feelings, man. And that's what these 10 movies have on me. It's the feelings that I had afterwards. So yes, let's get with number 10. Miyazaki's The Boy and the Heron. This is a film that at first I was like, okay, I didn't really get this movie. That's the thing. I didn't really get it at first. I was like, alright, it's still a great movie at first watch. I think it's still a really good movie. Miyazaki's, pretty much his most personal film. But man, seeing it again, this movie hits even harder. I think this movie's amazing. I think it's Miyazaki's most personal film. It is a visually stunning film with such a great story about a kid who's dealing with loss and all that. And it's just an incredible movie. And I think seeing it multiple times really, truly got me to really love it and just being like, yeah, The Boy and the Heron deserves its place in this top 10. Number 9, Suzume. Mr. Misori Inkai, I think that's his name. And man, this movie, I did not know what I was going to. I was going to be honest. This movie, I was like, I didn't know what I was getting into. I was like, oh, it looks cool, anime. Any movie that's animation, I usually like to go see them to see what they're all about. And yeah, this movie looked interesting. I saw the poster of the girl walking in a door. But this movie, yeah, you're not prepared. Suzumi's amazing. This is an incredible film. Heart-wrenching, visually stunning. One of the best-looking animated movies I've seen. And it is just an incredible movie with such a fun vibe to it. Just the hair and the cat, or not the cat, the chair just trying to save the world. And it's just so much fun. And I just really did love this film. And I think Suzume definitely earns its 9th place. Number 8, John Wick 4. John Wick 4 is just the perfect conclusion to the John Wick series. I think John Wick, one of my favorite action series right now. I think it's just the best. And I think John Wick 4, man, what an incredible end to this series. Hopefully, the end. If they die, this is not a series I would hope they make a 5th. I hope this ends it. It ends beautifully. And it's awesome. I love John Wick 4. I think it's the perfect ending to Mr. Baba Yaga's story, and it's just probably one of the best action films of the year. Number 7, Godzilla Minus One. This is another one. I did not know what I was getting into. One, I enjoyed the Godzilla movies. Some are good, some are pretty bad. But man, Godzilla Minus One was amazing. Godzilla Minus One was such an amazing film with just seeing Godzilla tearing the world apart and fixing the number one problem. Good characters and good story. And not only did they fix that, but they knocked it out of the park. I think Godzilla Minus One is one of the best Godzilla movies I've ever seen. And I think Godzilla Minus One absolutely deserves this spot. I think Godzilla Minus One is incredible. Number 7, I think. 10, 9, 8. Sorry, number 6. I should have numbered this. Poor Things. Poor Things is such a wild movie. A wild film. It really hit that list recently because it's just like, I had so much fun watching this movie. Probably one of the most fun I've had this year in the cinema. And it is so hilarious. It is so wild. but it's just Mr. Yargos just directed this film incredibly. It is such a well shot film and directed just beautifully. It has probably the best performances of Emma Stone and Mr. William Dafoe, and it's just so much fun. It's so wild and hilarious. One of the easiest, funniest movies I've seen this year, and it's awesome. I think Poor Things absolutely is in this list. We're in the top 5 now. Number 5 is a film that I legitimately recently saw. Like, legitimately saw it yesterday. But it made it because I was like, this is probably the powerful film of the year. It is a tragic film. And we're talking about The Iron Claw, directed by Sean Durkin, starring Zac Efron. The Iron Claw is such an emotional film. Like, it's such an emotional film. And it is a brothers just getting together, being brothers, and just that lovingly vibe and dealing with the tragedy that occurs in this film, which I don't want to say much because, one, I don't want to spoil anything. I kind of knew the story beforehand. I am a wrestling fan. I just loved pro wrestling when I was super young. And I think The Iron Claw is not only just incredibly made, but just the performances by pretty much everybody's incredible, specifically Zac Efron. His performance, this is the best performance I've ever seen by Mr. Zac Efron. I would hope the man gets recognition for it, because it's such an incredible performance that Zac Efron, just a man dealing with so much loss and trying to be strong, and it's hard to see at times, and it's just really incredible. And just the film and the wrestling is awesome, and just, it's awesome. I really did think The Iron Claw is one of the best films of the year. Number 4, The Holdover. I think The Holdover it is a Christmas classic, I think, at this point. The Holdovers is a Christmas classic that it is gonna be a Christmas classic in the next upcoming years. I think The Holdovers is not only just incredible written, the performances by Paul Giamatti hopefully gets recognition as well, and the performance of the food taker, or the girl, the what do they call them? The chef, not the chef, but the people who work at well, they're considered chefs, I guess. So yeah, chef, school chef, and yeah, she's awesome. That performance is heartbreaking, and it's so much fun. I love The Holdovers. I think it's one of the best movies of the year, and I think it is a Christmas classic to come. Now the top 3 movies, and these could absolutely, it's hard to say. These could easily be number 1, I think. I think these 3 movies could. It just depends on the mood at this point. Hell, not even the 4 movies. I think The Holdovers could be number 1. If it just depends, man. If I'm in Christmas really enjoying this movie, it could be up there as well. But number 3 is Martin Scorsese's Killers of the Flower Moon. I think seeing Scorsese's film chronology and going to see pretty much all his films, going into Killers of the Flower Moon, and man, it's his masterpiece. It's another masterpiece by Mr. Martin Scorsese. It's one of the greatest performances, I think, of DiCaprio and De Niro. And just Lily Goldstein, I think that's her name. And the performance of a woman dealing with so much tragedy. Like, I mean, The Iron Claw has tragedy, but man, Killers of the Flower Moon, the amount of tragic moments that happen to this woman, it's like unreal. And it's like this, and it's just one of the best performances, and I'd be damned if this woman doesn't get anything. I'd be really mad. So yeah, good for her, man. She's incredible. I thought her performance in this film was just masterful, and just Scorsese really being that older man now, older director, and him making movies that are gonna be epics. Man, he knocked it out of the park with this one, I think. And I think Scorsese, I'm very much looking forward to what's his next epic, and it's just very motivational, I think, to see Scorsese at the age of 70-something making film that is just still knocking it out of the park. And I think Scorsese is that guy. He really is that guy. And number 2 is Oppenheimer. I think that's not much of a surprise. I think Oppenheimer is one of the greatest biopics of all time, I think. It is Nolan's masterpiece. It's another Nolan masterpiece. Christopher Nolan, just one of the best modern filmmakers right now, and I think this is he uses all his attributes and does it in this movie pretty much, telling a story of a very important story that had to be told, and a terrifying idea of what the future could be, and it's like, oh my god. And also just the experience. I gotta give respect to, I guess, Barbie with the whole double feature. That is one of the most fun I've had this year as well. I think it is probably the most fun. It was so much excitement in the air. I was also just to be a film fan, right? Being a film lover and seeing everybody truly going to watch 2 movies in the same day. That's like, holy shit. That's awesome. There hasn't been anything like that ever. And Oppenheimer being making almost $1 billion, and it's not only not a franchise film, not a film that involves a IP. It is an original biographical story of one of the most important men of all time, and I think it is truly there's hope in this madness. Even though cinema lately has been a little bit dairy with some of the bigger movies, and me, I love big movies. I love the action movies. I love the sci-fi movies, and it's just those big movies that we don't get anymore, pretty much, because franchise movies make the most bucks. But I'm so happy Oppenheimer did it, and I think Oppenheimer gives us a light of hope of what cinema could be. So Oppenheimer, yeah, he gets there. Number 1, the big one, the one that I am surprised this movie has stuck long, but I've seen it so many times this year, and it's a movie that once it ended, it couldn't get out of my head, and to this day, I still want to know what's in the next chapter, and I think everybody knows what I'm talking about. Across the Spider-Verse. I think Across the Spider-Verse is one of the best animated films I've ever seen in cinemas. It is the best animated films I've ever seen in cinemas, but also it's a masterpiece. It is everything animation should be. It is not only just so much fun, it is hilarious, it is exciting, and it's an animated artist. It's like art, pretty much, and it's incredible. Across the Spider-Verse, man, this movie, it never left my mind after watching it. I think I went to a trip afterwards when this movie ended, and it wasn't even the greatest experience in theaters, because some asshole snoring the whole movie, and my girlfriend, I feel bad for her, man. She needs to rewatch that movie in a better light. But, man, Across the Spider-Verse, easily the most fun I've had this year. It is art. It literally is an art, and yeah, I'm so happy Across the Spider-Verse happened, and I'm so much looking forward to the 3rd chapter. Hopefully this shit comes out next year. Hopefully, I'll be happy if it comes out this next year. But anyways, Across the Spider-Verse takes the number 1 spot. I'm happy for it. It deserves it. I've seen it the most this year. That's the movie I've seen the most this year, and it's just the one that I could just really go back to and be like, yeah, this is art. And it's hard to compete and say it's not one of the greatest animated movies of all time. I think it really is. I think it really gets there. I think it hits that mark. And yeah, everybody, I hope you guys enjoyed the top 10 movies of the year. It was an incredible year of movies. Some of the franchise movies weren't the best, but Oppenheimer really gave us the hope that, hey, the movies can come back. So anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed the awards, and tell me in the chat, in the comments, what would be your number 1 or your top, instead of saying a top 10 out of respect for people, because it's like fucking 10 movies. It's pretty difficult. 4, give me your Mount Rushmore of 2023.